Friedlander. He was born on July 14th, 1934. He worked primarily in 35mm cameras and black and white film in the 60s and 70s. He focused mainly on social landscapes. So he studied photography at the Art Center College of Design, California, but he decided to drop out and move to New York to pursue his photography. And he started to photograph jazz musicians for their album covers. And then he started showing in museums as his photography collection grew. And one of them was the Museum of Art in New York. He was a key figure in John
Zarkowski's
exhibition of new documents at the MoMA in New York City. And so his photography is works of series. And so he has like a series of nudes, landscapes, and then like industrial environments and others. This one is the first photograph that I chose, and I thought that it was interesting that he just took it outside of like in his car and decided not to like take out the window where you couldn't see what was in his car. Like you took like part of the photograph was like seeing the car and also seeing what was outside of it. And I thought that was kind of unique because I feel like a lot of photographers would have cut out the car and just taken what was going on outside of it. And I also thought that how outside the car was really light and how inside was really dark showed a good contrast. This one I also thought was really interesting because of how like there was the guy standing there and he was looking at the camera and it looks like, and the question mark was above him. It looks almost as if it was posed. And I feel like this is kind of what like Anna Brett's guy was talking about and how it was like you have to take it in that moment. And and that's what makes it really interesting because I feel like if the guy wasn't looking at the camera or like he was standing a little like in a different place, then it wouldn't have been as interesting and powerful. This one I chose too because I thought it was really unique how the shadow was kind of representing the person sitting in the chair. And a lot of his photographs involve like shadows or reflections, and I thought that was really cool because it adds like another layer to the photograph. And as you can see here, this has like the reflection, and I think this is really interesting because he's kind of using just like ordinary things like a street sign and the thing in the back of the street sign, and it looks like they're like the same shape because they're both triangular. And like usually I think that just taking like a picture of a street sign would be not that interesting, but he made it in just like ordinary objects on the street more creative and interesting. And this one I thought was really cool because instead of taking a picture of Mount Rushmore, and he decided to take a picture of like the tourists and had the reflection of Mount Rushmore in the back. And I thought that was kind of powerful because it was, and also like really unique because like obviously Mount Rushmore is really cool and a lot of photographers would just take a picture of the like scenery, but he chose to do a different like look on it in the photograph. I thought that his influence on photography was really influential on street photography because most of his photographs were just like on the street or like ordinary things like the picture of the chair or like the street sign, but he made it more interesting and he really influenced future photographers with street photography. He also was able to capture the look and feel of like just modern society and like what was going on like cities and streets. I think he changed photography in the 60s and 70s when he was a photographer, and also he was one of the first to present an honest view of American society because he was just he was a street photographer, so he was just taking what he saw. Why I chose this photographer was I thought his style was very interesting because he found shadows and reflections to animate the flat photography and just ordinary things that he found. And he also found like text on street signs or in daily life or just like people on the street and I thought that was cool. And he also just captured everyday views and objects, but found a way to make them more interesting.